Thank you very much. Let me start out. You've spent a lot of time comparing the Declaration of Independence and the preamble of the Constitution. So let me ask you this. Are you troubled at all by the fact that Thomas Jefferson also wrote that all men are created equal and yet was a slaveholder, and that the we the people of the preamble was only some of the people? Should those observations trouble us at all today in trying to figure out what these words meant?
Susan B. Anthony even quoted the preamble in saying, when she made a speech after she had voted in the presidential election illegally, that it states we the people, and it was the whole people who were ordaining and establishing this Constitution, not the white male citizens, and that it should therefore, women should be able to get this right to vote, and because it is securing the blessings of liberty, and only the voting was the way to secure those blessings of liberty. And so through things like the 19th Amendment, which allowed women the right to vote, it has allowed things, our ideals in the preamble to expand.
However, during the ratification process, like in Massachusetts, for example, every town sent a representative to their state convention, and they were voted on by citizens in the town. However, the only people who were allowed to vote were the white landowning citizens at the time. So I see where you're coming from, and I am kind of upset with that, because it almost was like we the white landowning male citizens, not we the people.
Was there something in the structure of our Constitution and the foresight of the founders that allowed we the people to become more representative of the true population? In other words, how did women get the right to vote?
Well,
what was the basis of it? What gave them that right?
The 9th Amendment opened the door for more amendments that aren't stated in the Bill of Rights to come, and more rights are implied. So that gave rise to more amendments, such as the 19th Amendment, which gave the women the right to vote, and the 15th Amendment, which gave African Americans the right to vote.
I think they have to use like civil disobedience and stuff like that. Like the women, like Susan B. Anthony, they fought for it. Like they used our Declaration of Independence to write the Declaration of Sentiments, which is like a list of stuff that the men had taken from them, and they're trying to get their voice out and get heard, so they could have a vote and be involved with our government.
And
was the Constitution structurally designed to develop and evolve the way it did?
I think that our Constitution was designed to be able to evolve, because with the process of even making amendments, I mean, it was meant to be able to be changed. It wasn't supposed to be a government that was stagnant. It was supposed to be able to be interpreted in different manners for different situations. And I mean, you look at, there's such a vagueness to our Constitution that it leaves it open to interpretation for later generations.
it was said in the court case of Ex parte Bain that in order to interpret the Constitution, we must put ourselves in a state of mind as close as to what the framers were. And I actually tend to disagree with this. I think if we were to do that, like slavery was a major thing of the Constitution, but like Kyle was saying, many of the clauses, like the necessary and proper clause and the vague expression of executive power, imply that there are room to stray from what's actually written inside the Constitution.
I think an example of this, like they thought slavery would die out, so they put in that there would not touch slavery trade till 1808. So they thought that slavery would die out, and they kind of evolved, and they could give them the right to vote eventually.
Another issue.
Sorry, and going back to the preamble question, it actually says that we the people do ordain and establish, not did ordain and establish. So it was intended to be a living document, yes.
I want to go back. You've talked a great deal about the various ways in which government is limited. The flip side of that would be promoting general welfare. How do we do the balancing between those two?
You look at where our Constitution came from. It was sort of a compromise between the British monarch and the Articles of Confederation. And the Articles of Confederation just simply left it up to the states to decide what to do. And so it wasn't promoting the general welfare because there wasn't a sense of unity between the states to look out for everybody, versus the British monarch where it was just one individual, and so they were very tyrannical. So I think the idea of federalism allows for the general welfare for local governments being able to look at individual things, but also the national government.
I think we kind of want, like, with general welfare, that's kind of with classical republicanism, and for like more for the common good. And like the preamble kind of, it's more for the common good, but then yet at the end, it's secure the blessings of liberty, which is like more natural rights and securing our rights for ourselves.
So if the South Carolina Attorney General wants to sue the challenging the health care bill, just to pick a purely hypothetical example, is he promoting the general welfare?
Actually, in the court case of Halperin v. Davis, it was, they were deciding on Social Security. And it was the fact that the states individually could not look out for the people well enough, so it needed to be taken over by the national government. And so it was looking out for the general welfare of the people. And so I think that's very important, but actually the senator himself cannot, with our current system, go to the Supreme Court because he is not affected individually yet by the health care bill, and it has to actually be have a citizen or a company which is having been affected by it.
And